Néouvielle, ça veut dire neige nouvelle.
Néouvielle means new snow, basically.
Et là-haut, il y avait jusqu'à il n'y a pas longtemps un glacier qui maintenant a disparu.
Just until recently, there was a glacier.
Dans le Néouvielle.
So you can see the
Voilà.
remnants of snow.
Le résultat du contrat,
The result of the contract,
il est plus dans la dynamique
it's
qui est
more in the
créée
dynamics.
que dans des objectifs
Yeah.
sur l'habitat, par exemple.
So the results are more linked to the dynamic that was created.
Yeah,
Rather
social,
than
yeah.
what was in
yeah,
the contract.
social, yeah. So that
Voilà.
yeah, so that 5-year contract, does it have a set amount of money that is okay? So this is your budget for maintaining every day, and then this is extra budget for these experimental initiatives that you do what you like with. No. How do they pay for the experimental element?
There is no pay for experimental.
No pay for this.
So the idea was the experiment was during 15 days, so 2 weeks, we close off the cows in these zones where near rhododendrons.
Sur les clôtures, on met des plaquettes pour pas que les oiseaux pour prévenir les oiseaux
On
qu'ils
the
ne fassent pas
enclosures,
des collisions avec les
on
clôtures.
the enclosures, they put some sort of warning system to stop the birds running into the closures. At the end of the summer grazing season,
On a fait un bilan avec l'éleveur, le parc, moi, et l'éleveur était très content parce que pour une fois les vaches n'ont pas couru, elles ont un peu grossi.
so the
Il était
breeder
content.
was happy with the outcome because they weren't running around so much and they were quite they were big, quite fatty and juicy, and they put on weight.
Parce qu'elles ont moins bougé que d'habitude.
They moved around a lot less than this. Pardon?
Fatty and
Juicy. Well, I think about the steak.
I think they're still alive at this point.
We just learned from the Néouvielle case, and so we will have to learn about your reaction. What came to you as first reaction?
My reaction as an advisor and as a farmer and commoner as well was that our problems in England are very, very similar to the problems here, and that there's an awful lot more commonality about collective agreements and how farmers behave and how government behaves, that we can, we're much more similar than we're different, and that also that government rules and the framework that sits around making contracts for the future, for the climate and for the environment, we should be brave and we should be willing to take risks, because that's the only way that we can drive innovation to make sure that we can get on top of the climate and the environmental crises that we're facing. We owe it to our future generations.
That was very eloquent. I think also building on that idea of commonalities, there are some spaces where there are gaps in contracts in the French case or gaps in contracts in the British case that the other one fills. For example, there's this important gap in your collective contract with the advisory role coming into foster innovation and experimentation that's not actually funded under the contract, which is exactly the kind of role that the facilitation fund is trying to fill.
Yeah.
But we haven't yet got behind the facilitation fund that existing group dynamic. And so something that joined together those two contracts, for example, for us, Commons having a facilitation fund agreement to help foster that innovation and collective group working, and show them and expose them to different types of experimentation would be really valuable. So it has helped me see that, there's some important things the French are doing really well and that the British have started to do well, where we need to kind of combine our ideas.
We would like to bring the facilitation from
here.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've mentioned it a few times, but just the importance on focusing on the outcomes and not necessarily the process, but what are we trying to achieve together and how can we best work together? And to some extent that is more flexibility and it may be more trust as well between the different groups. I think.
Great.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, in Flanders in Belgium, we have very little experience with collective agreements. We are trying a bit, but yes, when we compare with what we see here and experiences also in the UK, we are nowhere. But it's very inspiring to come here and to listen, because I'm sure there's a lot of benefit for us also in having collective agreements. It will of course be very difficult. The social, the environmental conditions are very different, but still I also think we would have a lot of benefit in working more in collective agreements with objectives, looking at the landscape level together at environment, biodiversity objectives. So it was very inspiring to come here. Thank you.